Here are the pieces for my On Pointe block. This is for one of the two blocks, the green and yellow version and with the blue. And I've got my squares here. These are a fabric 5. You're going to need 16 squares in total. They're 1 7/8 square. There's 8 for each of the blocks. And then I've got my centre square, which is 3 1/4 inches, and the 4 squares that go around the centre, which are also 3 1/4. These are my half squares, half square triangles that are going to go on the corners of the block. You can cut these from a square, a 6 3/4 inch square, and cut it on the diagonal. Or alternatively, you can use the CGRT 45 ruler and put the 6 1/4 inch line on the bottom to cut these half square triangles. You're going to need 4 of this colour in total, 4 of this colour, so that's 2 each for each block. To make your half square triangles, so this is my yellow and blue, you've got 2 options with this. This is the first option, 2 1/2 inch squares of each yellow and blue, and then for the other block it would be orange and pink. Draw a line on the diagonal and sew 1/4 inch either side of the line, and then cut. So that's your first option. If you do that, you'll need 4 each of the squares. So you'll need 4 yellow, 4 blue, 4 orange and 4 red squares. Here are my squares that I've sewn together, 2 2 1/2 inch squares, and I've sewn here on either side of my centre line. So now I'm going to cut on the centre line, and then I'm going to press them. And now here they are pressed. So out of the 2 squares I've got 2 half square triangle units. The next step is to trim these up to 1 7/8 so that they match the small squares in the centre of the block. I'm going to put my ruler on with my 45-degree line lined up on the seam, and make sure that my 1 7/8 line is on fabric all the way down here and all the way across there. So I've definitely got room to trim this. I'm going to cut there and there. And then I'm going to take this corner and turn it right round to the other side. This time I'm going to put the 1 7/8 inch line on the edge of my fabric, here and here. And then I can do the final trim. And now my unit is ready to join onto the squares. If you'd rather use the triangle ruler, the CGRT 45, then you'll cut a 1 7/8 inch strip and use that 1 7/8 line to cut your half square triangles, and they'll look like this. And you'll need 8 triangles from each colour. Now you can see that we don't actually have a 1 7/8 inch line on this ruler. So what you do is instead to use halfway between 1 3/4 and 2 inches, and that will give you the correct measurement. And once these 2 half square triangles are joined together, that should measure 1 7/8 to match up with this. These are the pieces that are going to get added onto the blocks to fit it into the quilt. This is my piece H, which is 1 1/2 by 23 3/4. That's going to go on the bottom. Piece I is 2 5/8 by 23 3/4. That goes on the top. And piece J, 2 1/4 by 15 1/4, will go on the right hand side of the block. To make this On Pointe block, we're going to start by creating these 4 patch units. And to make those, we need our half square triangles of F and G. These are made, and then make sure you trim those to 1 7/8 inches. And the key to the whole block is getting these sewn to the white squares the right way round. So I've started this next one here. I've sewn with the orange and the slope, this coming out this way. And then for my second pair, I need to take the square, put it here, and put the pink next to the square. So if you do all of your units that way, you'll find the block goes together nice and easily. Once you've made those, you're then going to join them to either side of this square, D, and make sure that the pink is pointing in towards the centre when you do that. And once you've made these rows with the pink fabric towards the centre square, you're then going to arrange them with the other row. So we have this one with the 3 squares in a row. These 2 rows are identical to each other. So we're just going to put one facing with the pink facing downwards and the other one at the top with the pink facing upwards, and join those rows, and then we can put our corner squares on. Now my centre block is sewn, so I can sew on the triangles. On this side where the orange triangles are, I'm going to put a black triangle, and the same on the opposite side. And then my black and white triangles will go on the sides with the pink triangles. So when I've sewn these together, that's going to be one of my 2 blocks, and then I'll be rotating them like that before I join them together. So what I'll do is I'll join 2 on first, and then press, and then join the other 2 on. And here's my block sewn together with the pink in the top left corner and bottom right corner, and the orange in these 2 corners. And the measurement for this square is 11 7/8. For this yellow and blue block, I've put the yellow next to the green for these ones. It doesn't actually matter which you do first, but this way round is going to work. So I've got the yellow next to the green on both of these rows, and then when I turn it this way, I'm going to have the blue next to the green. If you've ended up sewing yours with the blue next to the green, you would just put if you'd sewn the rows like this, you would just put your yellows next to your greens when you put it together. So the key thing is that when you assemble them, these lines are going to radiate outwards. I've placed the block like this, now I've sewn it all together. So the black triangles are going to go top right and bottom left next to the yellow, and the black and white ones are going to go next to the blue. And then the final step is to join the 2 blocks together. I've got the black here and here, here and here, and then we're going to put the strips on the bottom and top, and then the final strip on the right hand side.